To outrun the cops, he tosses his flour package aside, and it lands right in the arms of an 80-year-old grandma. The police didn't see this at all, and just like that, the grandma got 5 kilograms of flour for free. But afterward, instead of calling the police, she actually took the package back to the gang. At first, the gang thought the grandma was trying to extort them, but she insisted she didn't want a single penny from them. Instead, she wanted to secure a job for herself. It turned out the grandma also wanted to join the gang and sell flour just like them to earn some pocket money. Seeing that the gang boss seemed a bit dismissive of her, the grandma assured him she was up to the task and explained that they were basically under police surveillance. But thanks to her age, she wouldn't attract any police attention during transactions. To her surprise, the gang boss found her argument convincing. Without further ado, he cut off a kilogram of flour for her and gave grandma a half-month probationary period. He promised that if she sold it all during that time, not only would he hire her as a salesperson, but he'd also give her 30% of the profits. Grandma heard this and immediately agreed. But what the crime boss didn't know was that before long, this grandma would become the top salesperson here. Once she got home, grandma began cutting up the flour, planning to divide it into smaller portions to sell. Unexpectedly, the stuff was as hard as a rock. No matter whether she smashed it with tools or cut it with a saw, she couldn't budge it at all. It wasn't until she used a bone cleaver that she finally managed to chop it into pieces. But after the elderly lady had packed everything into bags, a new problem arose. She'd left the gang's place in such a hurry that she'd forgotten to ask the price of the flour. To figure out the market price of this stuff, she asked her son-in-law, who worked at the police station, but asking directly obviously wasn't the wisest move. So, under the pretext of wanting to learn about his job, she asked him to take her on a tour. Upon hearing this, her son-in-law led his mother-in-law to the archives room, and it was right there that grandma spotted the same flour. After learning the market price of the flour, grandma wasted no time in taking action. She immediately went to the underpass where crowds gathered. Sure enough, thanks to her age advantage, her stock was snapped up in no time. When grandma handed over all the proceeds to the gang boss was instantly left speechless. He'd never seen a sale go so fast, so he kept his word and gave the elderly lady 30% of the profits. Seeing that grandma was a sales whiz, the gang boss gave her even more stock this time. Grandma couldn't stop grinning when she saw this. She thought she was about to reach the pinnacle of her life. But no sooner had she left the gang's hideout than a drug-sniffing police dog picked up her scent and gave chase. Grandma was terrified the moment she saw it. To avoid going to jail, she had no choice but to run for her life. But how could she outrun a police dog? The next second, the dog had its teeth sunk into her bag. Just as the secret inside the bag was about to be exposed, her son-in-law, Jack, suddenly arrived, allowing grandma to narrowly escape disaster. Afterward, Jack kindly helped her carry the bag home. Once her son-in-law had left, grandma divided the flour into smaller portions. The next day, she made her way through crowded public spaces. These high-traffic areas not only made it easy for grandma to sell her goods, but also kept her from arousing suspicion. As time went on, grandma quickly became the largest supplier in the area, but the other small-time thugs couldn't sell their goods at all, so the thugs pushed grandma to the ground, not only snatching all the money from her, but also kicking and punching her furiously, and warning her that if she came back, they'd break her legs. But grandma wasn't about to give up. Seeing that selling her goods out in the open was no longer an option, grandma had no choice but to think of another way. That's when she had a sudden brainwave. She cracked some eggs into the flour and began mixing. Then she added some dark cuisine ingredients and shaped the mixture into individual cake pieces. To test if this concoction would work, she invited 3 friends over to try it. To her surprise, they all raved about how delicious it was, and before long, they were getting high. Realizing the cake was a hit, grandma stayed up all night baking a huge batch. The next day, she took them out to sell. Seeing that grandma was now selling cakes, her former competitors didn't give her any trouble, since grandma had built up a large customer base, and her cakes were available for a try-before-you-buy sample. She sold out in just one morning. She then took the money to the crime boss, but this time, grandma demanded a higher commission. This was because the sales she made in just 3 days were almost equal to what others sold in a whole year. Seeing that grandma would walk away if he didn't agree, the boss, desperate to keep this top talent, had no choice but to agree. He even gave grandma a large batch of ingredients, and because grandma's cakes contained flour, many people became addicted after eating them, and couldn't wait to come back for more. In just 2 short days, grandma sold out her stock again. Seeing this, the crime boss was utterly stunned. Realizing how incompetent his henchmen were, he immediately promoted grandma to exclusive agent, and supplied her with 8 kilograms of cake in one go. When she returned home and looked at the flour before her, grandma realized that one person's strength was too limited, and that to grow and succeed, she'd need to recruit some help. She then invited the thugs who had bullied her to her home. At first, the thugs didn't take her seriously at all, until they tasted grandma's cake. Instantly, they were completely blown away. The cake was so delicious that the more they ate, the more they wanted. Realizing that grandma was truly a talent, they decided to partner with her.